Welcome back to the channel. We have the low dollar 360 done for drag truck. We decided to name it the BOMBCYCLE. This is the low dollar 360. We're naming it the BOMBCYCLE, as in it could explode on every cycle that it makes. So let's take a tour of the engine. I'll show you exactly the components and what exactly we put into it. To start with, we have a Speedmaster Intake. The only mod we did was the notching here for equalization and balance, like the LD340 had. Speedmaster Intake was bought for $135 on Black Friday sale. We put Hue spring kit in here, and that included the keepers, the retainers, and that will allow for a 550 lift on stock Magnum heads. We did have to buy a damper, and the reason being is some of the later dampeners on the 360 Magnums, you couldn't unbolt the pulley. We got the organ regrind cam, and if you want to go back a few videos, you'll see the cam installed, the cam bearings, and we put an Edelbrock timing chain in it. The cam specs are in that video, but really it's going to run just a little over 500 lift and around a 218, 224 duration at 50. This taller dipstick here will be just fine because it's going in a pickup. We got the engine for $150 off of Craigslist. We sold a lot of things like the wiring harnesses, the factory exhaust manifolds, and we sold those, and we got back our money. So basically we started with a free 360 Magnum, and we basically put $450 into the cam and spring kit, another $135 here, would bring you up to $585, and a timing chain would be another $75, which would push you up. Well, let's just say you're talking about $660. Throw in a couple of freeze plugs and some gaskets, that'd probably push us close to, you know, $730, $750, around there. But that's what it would cost you. For me, I added a couple expenses that you may not have to do. Because I already had the Odessa heads, I had $300 into the heads. I went ahead and used them instead of using the originals. You wouldn't have to do that, but I did it. Also on these heads, before I put them on, I did go ahead and just clean up a little bit of the castings. If you want to call it mild porting with a Dremel, go ahead. I counted it as cleaning up castings. Even if you had the one piece harmonic balancer for the 360, you wouldn't have to mess with any of that if you're going to run the serpentine belt, as long as you're going to run electric fuel pump. So them are just some added expenses that we did that you would not have to do this project. So anyways, that's pretty much the engine. I'll run over just a couple of parts and show you a couple of parts maybe. Here's the timing chain we used, Edelbrock 7803. This is the harmonic balancer that we used. Some valve cover gaskets that we bought. And the rest was just a typical Felpro head gasket to replace and a Edelbrock intake gasket. I mean, that's about it. We're calling this a BOMBCYCLE because I did not take the oil pan off. It had 198,000 miles on it. So you're really looking at almost 200,000 miles, never pulled the pan. So all we really did was the cam, intake, and valve springs is the gist of what happened here. And obviously because I had the heads, it just made sense because they were already cleaned up to go ahead and put the springs on them. But we'll see what it does. We don't know. But this is the finished product. We'll be putting it in the truck. First chance we get, 318 out. This will set in, and we'll do some little minor tweaking and tuning. What you see that's missing will be just thrown on here. The distributor from the 318, the carburetor, the thermostat housing, that stuff, the pulleys will all come right off the 318 and go right on this. She'll set right in there, and we'll tune a little bit and get it back down there and see what happens. That's providing it stays together. Thank you for joining. Hopefully, shortly down the road, we'll be out and installing this. Until next time, be safe.